Okay, now we're going to take you through how to change oil on most any small engine, but this is an Onan with an oil filter. Some of these had oil filters, some didn't. So we're going to take you through the process, but it should be the same for most brands and models of small engines. The oil type for your engine might be different, or the capacity, but the principle is the same. So here's the oil filter on this side. You have to look for your drain plug. There it is. Use a nice Sunex square socket that fits the drain plug. Makes life a lot easier. 9 times out of 10, you want to run your engine for a while, get it up to temperature. Let it sit for 10 minutes or so to cool down so you don't burn yourself, but you want warm engine oil. And everything's suspended that's in the oil if you run it, and it'll drain out instead of sitting in pockets of the engine. If you're just getting done servicing your engine and doing work with the engine opened up, or valve work or intake work, then you want to do it when it's cold, just in case any debris fell in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be cold, but you just want to run it after you did the work. Alright, over here is your oil filter. So the Onans can run quite a few different engine oils in them. There's different recommendations in the book. And since these machines or engines were built from the 70s and 80s and 90s, obviously, oil technology has changed and evolved. The early ones, there wasn't a real lot of multi-grade oils. A lot of guys ran 30 weight oil, HD 30 weight. That's what the book called for in colder climates, and they ran some 1030. Nowadays we've got synthetic oils and different multi-grade oils, racing oils, diesel oil, different additives. So here's your oil filter. A pair of channel locks or an oil filter wrench like this works great to take them off. You don't want to use those to put them on. You never use an oil filter, so if the filter gets damaged, taking it off is not a big deal. So this engine, you notice the heat shields are off it. We just did a bunch of service work to it. They'll be going on, but we kept them off while we're doing the video so you can see exactly what's going on. There's some sludge and stuff in there. That's not from the oil itself, that's from the debris from outside of the engine collecting. And that's just a little drain cup. You want to clean that out anyways. And then with a clean towel after that, you want to clean the surface, the mating surface where the gasket goes. This engine had a lot of oil and debris and stuff all over it, and I almost think there was an oil filter that was put on this that either exploded, but probably more than likely wasn't on tight or loosened up. It sprayed oil all over the place in there, and they never got it clean, and it collected debris and dust and grass clippings and whatnot. So for oil filters on the Onans, we only use Fleet Guard filters. They're actually OEM. Cummins owns Fleet Guard. Cummins diesel engines bought out Onan. So it's a correct filter, but we always use Fleet Guard on everything. They're one of the best filter companies in the world, the biggest ones in the world. And the quality is second to none in our opinion, and the price is no more than other brands. So if you can get your hands on Fleet Guard filters, that's what we recommend. The number on this Fleet Guard filter is an LF3339, which crosses over to the old Onan engine filters. I forgot what the full part number was, but they ended in 800. It's the same filter. I would not be surprised if actually Fleet Guards are making them from day one, even in the green Onan filters. You want to coat the top of the gasket ring with a little bit of oil, and then just thread it on, get it hand tight, so you can't really tighten it up much anymore by hand. And then take a filter wrench. You want one that's like a flat strap or a nylon strap so you don't damage the filter. And then you want to just kind of turn it, basically a half turn or so. You'll feel it. You don't need to go crazy. You just need to get it snug. That's probably plenty, and that's all you're going to need. Obviously, when you refill this and run it for a while, you want to check and make sure that's not leaking. Since the heat sin's not on, it's going to be hard to show you this, but this piece right here, this grommet, is very important and has to be put back on. If you're missing it, get it, otherwise you'll cause severe engine damage. That little piece saves thousands of dollars. It just slides on, and what it's going to do is basically seal off the tins so none of the air coming off the blower from the flywheel is bypassed. So what happens is the air is coming off the flywheel in here. It's coming across because you got your tins on. Always keep your tins on. The tins force the air across the cooling fins in the head and out. If this grommet's out of here, all the air comes out and around and past this filter, and you cause severe overheating. Valve seats drop out commonly. Engines break rods commonly, especially if there's carbon buildup, because this side gets so hot and the carbon hits the piston and the head, and you're done. So whenever we get blown Onans with a broken rod, 90% of the time it's on this side and they're missing this grommet. So this $10 piece, well worth getting. And the guys say, oh, well, we've had it and ran it years without it and had no problems. A, you've been lucky, and B, you probably haven't worked the tractor very hard. It's to the point when you start getting overworked and working really hard, that's when things happen. But if you want to take a chance and save 10 bucks, that's on you. But recommend every single Onan with an oil filter to do that. Again, if your Onan doesn't have an oil filter, then you don't need this step over here. This is a Case 448 with an 18 horsepower Onan. Excellent tractors, excellent engines. Onan's an industrial engine, and the amount of torque he's put out is unbelievable. A good rule of thumb is always take your key out of whatever you're changing the oil, so nobody mistakenly turns it on, you or somebody else. You run the engine for a second without oil and it's all done. So now reinstall your drain plug. These are usually pipe thread. It's a tapered thread. So get it in by hand. When it starts getting hard, put the ratchet on. You don't have to go too crazy, but get them good and snug. It's just a drain plug. It's not holding much force or pressure or load, but you don't want it backing out either and destroying your engine. So basically from hand to one solid full turn's plenty, or so, turn and a half. You'll feel it. Most of these Onans, you fill the oil through the dipstick here. Wherever your dipstick may be located, different tractors might have a different. Whenever filling engine oil on anything, always use a clean funnel. We wipe them out and then spray them down with some brake clean. Make sure they're clean. Very important. Most of these Onans will hold roughly 2 quarts of oil, depending if you got a filter or no filter, what it's going in. Some of the Onans with the deeper oil pans will hold quite a bit more. Right now we're using a 1540 diesel engine oil. We use that probably more than anything on these Onans. The 2050 works also really well. In the wintertime it can be a little thick, but if you got a tractor that's burning some oil, the 2050 oil is a good choice, or if you're in a hot climate. We also run synthetic 1540, 540s in these, and 1550 synthetic. All of them good choices. We've run 30 weight in some of them and 40 weight. Just the older oils and single viscosity oils just don't compare to the newer oils. The additive packages and just being one viscosity essentially is not great in a climate where you're getting hot summers and cold winters. One thing to keep in mind with the Onans and any engine, but especially the Onans in these cases, since they got not a giant oil pan in these cases, is to check your oil every single time. The Onans don't have much forgiveness for low oil, and it's a very expensive engine to rebuild. Whenever you're checking the engine oil in an Onan, besides doing the oil change, you want to do the dipstick twice, because there's always oil and pressure and vacuum up in that dipstick tube, and it'll give you a false reading. So put it in, take it out, wipe it, check it, do it again. Most times you'll get 2 different readings, especially if the engine was just running, or even if it's been sitting sometimes. It'll still hold oil up in the dipstick tube and give you a false reading. Another thing to note with an engine with an oil filter, you'll want to fill it up to your dipstick as full, then run your engine for a minute or so and you shut it off and check it again, because that oil's got to go and fill that filter up, and you'll end up usually having to add some depending on your system style. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's right at the top of that full mark. That's where you want to be. Again, we'll start it up, run it, and more than likely have to add a little bit because it's going to fill up the filter and work its way back up through the engine and stuff. Very simple, very basic, very important. Now we'll check that dipstick again. You see all the oil up there? That's why you have to do these at least twice. Big difference there. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's right at the add a pint mark, essentially a little bit below. Very important that you run them and check them again. That's a big difference. There's a big filter to fill up also, so it makes sense. And if your engine's been sitting for a while, all the oil is drained back down in the crankcase. So if you run it now, you're getting everything through the top end of the engine again.